Can a house remember everyone who ever died within its walls? That was the question playing over and over in Hannah's mind as she stood before the gates of the abandoned Wexley Manor, a massive structure hidden deep in the dense Vermont woods. Locals believed the house had a soul, not metaphorically, but literally, as if it breathed, remembered, and punished. Hannah, a 30-year-old investigative journalist known for covering unsolved paranormal cases, wasn't just curious. She was obsessed. She had first heard about Wexley Manor from a retired police officer in New Hampshire. He told her about 5 people who had disappeared there in 1993, a group of college students who went in to document supernatural activity. Their car was found. Their equipment was found. But they never were. No bodies, no trace, nothing. Since then, the property had been locked up and forgotten until Hannah found the keys. Literally. She received a dusty box in the mail with no return address. Inside was a single key with a tarnished bronze tag, WM, along with a note that simply read, "You're ready. Let them tell you what happened." As she unlocked the front gate, the hinges groaned like they hadn't been moved in decades. The air grew still. Even the birds seemed to vanish. With each step up the cracked stone pathway, Hannah felt like the house was pulling her in, not in a metaphorical sense, but a magnetic, undeniable force. The front door stood slightly ajar, as if expecting her. Inside, the scent of damp wood, mold, and decay filled her nostrils. Dust floated through the air like ghostly particles. The main hall was massive, with a spiraling staircase, shattered chandelier, and portraits of stern, long-dead faces watching from the walls. But what chilled her spine was the sensation that those eyes weren't just painted, they were following her. She set up her gear, motion sensors, EMF detector, infrared cameras, and a recorder. She had 48 hours. Her goal wasn't to debunk or prove anything, it was to survive and listen. She started in the library, where the college students had left their last recorded message. "We're not alone," the voice had whispered. "The walls, they breathe." As night fell, the house came alive. She heard creaking above her, but not random sounds. Footsteps, pacing, pausing, then pacing again. She checked the cameras. Nothing. She whispered, "Is anyone here?" And the temperature dropped instantly. Her breath became visible. The EMF reader spiked, and then a whisper, "Go back." But she didn't go back. She climbed the stairs, flashlight in hand, every step protesting beneath her. Halfway up, a framed photo crashed down behind her, but when she turned, nothing was there. The frame had vanished. No glass, no sound, just a wall, blank and clean, like the house had swallowed the evidence. The second floor was colder, more silent, more aware. She opened one room and saw writing on the walls, etched in something dark brown. "Still here, still waiting. They never left." Hannah felt her chest tighten. The writing wasn't old. It was wet, still dripping. She backed away, but the door slammed behind her. She was locked in. Heart racing, she turned back to the room, but it had changed. Furniture was now intact, dust gone, curtains flowing from an invisible breeze. A woman stood by the window, wearing a 1930s gown, humming a tune. Her back turned. Hannah couldn't speak, couldn't move. Then the woman turned. Her face was blurry. Not hidden, it was glitching, like a broken video feed. The woman's glitching face twisted into a wide, unnatural grin. Her voice was barely a whisper, yet it echoed in Hannah's skull. "You're not supposed to see this yet." The lights flickered. The sound of children laughing filled the room, though no one else was there. Hannah's eyes shut tight for one moment, and when they opened again, the room was empty, old, dusty. The woman was gone, but scratched into the wooden floorboards beneath her feet were fresh claw marks. She scrambled for her recorder and whispered into it, "Visual hallucination or time distortion. Entity present." Room changed in real time. As she stepped into the hallway, the door behind her creaked open slightly, but she didn't dare look back. The air smelled like burnt wood now, and the walls, they were breathing, in and out, pulsing slightly, like the manor itself had lungs. She found the students' old camp on the third floor, sleeping bags, a broken camcorder, old food wrappers. But it was the journal she found that sent chills down her spine. One of us is missing. We hear him walking at night, but we saw him die. We saw him hang himself. The handwriting was frantic. Below it, smeared ink and what looked like blood had blotted out the rest of the page. Suddenly, Hannah heard dragging sounds above her. The attic. Against her better judgment, she climbed the creaking ladder. The door opened on its own. The attic was nearly pitch dark, except for the moonlight through broken boards. And then the smell. Rot. Decay. Something dead. Hanging from the rafters was an old rope, frayed, swaying but no body. She turned to leave but froze. Someone was crouched in the corner, pale, bony, twitching. Slowly it turned its head toward her. It had no eyes, only deep black sockets, as if its soul had been ripped out. Then it crawled, not walked, toward her, with unnatural speed. Hannah screamed and fell down the attic ladder, barely catching herself. She bolted back downstairs, heart pounding, skin soaked in sweat. The living room lights flickered again, but now the fireplace was lit, roaring. Someone was sitting in the armchair. Back to her, a deep male voice spoke calmly. "You woke them. You shouldn't have come alone." She stepped forward, but in a blink, the fire went out. The room was dark, empty. Her camera glitched. Static crackled. Then the screen showed the 5 missing students, but they weren't alive. They were standing in that same room, pale, lifeless, staring directly at her through the lens. She looked up, and they were gone. Hannah began to piece things together. The house wasn't just haunted, it was sentient. It absorbed people. Their spirits didn't leave because they couldn't. It was a trap. Every death made it stronger, and now it was waking up again. Then the air grew silent. All her gear turned off at once. Total darkness. Her recorder clicked one final time and played a new voice she didn't record. "You're next." Panicked, she tried to escape, but the doors wouldn't open. The house was shifting, the architecture changing, hallways stretching, twisting, rooms connecting in unnatural ways. A mirror on the wall suddenly became a window. She looked inside and saw herself, sleeping in a hospital bed. Machines beeping, her face bruised, comatose. Then the reflection smiled at her. What if this wasn't real? What if she never left her last investigation? What if she died somewhere else and this house was holding her mind? Or was this just another layer of the trap? Hannah couldn't tell anymore. She screamed, slamming her fists into the walls, and they bled. Not her hands, the walls. Red liquid oozed from the wallpaper like it was skin. And then it went silent again. A single voice echoed through the halls, childlike and sweet. "Play with us." Dozens of dolls tumbled down the staircase, one by one, as if pushed. Their faces twisted into grotesque expressions mid-fall. Some were missing limbs. Some had human teeth. The dolls lay still now, but their eyes followed Hannah wherever she moved. She stepped carefully around them, her breath shaky. Her hands trembled as she clicked her recorder back on. Activity escalating. House manipulating time, perception, even physical space. Reality unstable, but deep inside, Hannah knew this wasn't just paranormal. This was conscious. The house was alive, and it was learning from her fear. Suddenly, the ground beneath her cracked. Not just the floorboards, the foundation. She fell through, landing hard in a basement she didn't know existed. This space wasn't on any blueprint. No windows, no doors, just stone walls carved with strange symbols. Some ancient, others modern equations, scientific formulas, and names. Dozens of names. Her flashlight flickered again, and for one moment, the wall looked like it was bleeding. Thick, black liquid dripped from her own name. Beneath it, a date. April 14th, 2025 today. The realization hit her like ice. The house had predicted her arrival. Or worse, it called her. This wasn't just a haunting. It was a harvest. Then came the humming. A lullaby, echoing from behind the stone. Her recorder activated on its own and played back a voice she'd never heard before, a child's voice. She found the room, just like the others. Hannah turned. A hidden door creaked open in the wall behind her, revealing a spiral staircase leading further down. Cold air rose from below, and a foul smell, something forgotten. At the bottom was a room unlike anything she'd seen before. It looked like an abandoned hospital ward, beds lined up, covered in sheets, IV stands, monitors, but everything was decaying. And lying in one bed was her, the same version of Hannah she'd seen in the mirror upstairs, hooked to machines. The machines suddenly flatlined, and the Hannah in the bed opened her eyes. "Get out," she whispered, "before it replaces you." Then she convulsed violently, screaming. Her skin cracked like porcelain. Blood poured from her eyes and mouth. The real Hannah stepped back in terror as the room began to collapse. She ran blindly through tunnels now forming around her, stone giving way to wood, to dirt, to flesh. The walls pulsed again, more violently now, and she realized the truth. The house wasn't just alive, it was growing, feeding on souls, mutating, changing, and she had just become a part of its nervous system.